This is Super Sass Bros with Cory and Jayde. Let's jump in. Good. I've had like a pretty up and down week, I would say. I think when people talk about building their own business and stuff like that, they have the highs are high, the lows are low. We even talked about this before where it's like, how do you handle staying positive even when shit's in the fan? Yeah, I had a rough earlier part of the week. I was struggling. The days felt like very long, didn't feel motivated, was heavily pushing myself just to get work done. But yeah, it was a little demotivating.
What was rough? Like, what was hard?
For me, I'm still working on the skill of like sales and actually getting business. So I think for me, that's been the biggest thing. Like I'm going through the pain of growth of being better at a skill. And I think that's just it. And part of it to me is just been frustration that I'm not better at it faster. And so yeah, I don't know. I'm naturally like competitive. Like when I start learning how to do something, I just want to be the best at it
Totally.
as soon as I can.
Totally.
Which is like both a good thing and also sometimes can be a bad thing, but I'm trying to use it as a good thing. So the beginning of the week was just a little rough, and I think having a realization that you're still not where you need to be, especially in terms of sales, but I'm definitely a lot further than I was like a year ago where I had zero sales experience. So I try to remind myself of that, and near the end of the week, it's gone a bit better. Actually getting people to sign stuff, actually getting some more sales calls in the calendar. And there's a lot of more things that kind of made the week a little bit better with some smaller wins. But yeah, I think that was honestly it at the beginning of the week for me.
Yeah. I think with you kind of growing up with such an athletic background, playing hockey, football, sports your whole life, like it's only natural that you're going to be competitive. I feel very much the same way, more on the tech side though. And I felt this throughout my career when I was even working at corporate. I was like, I want to be the best developer in this company. And I always got demotivated when I felt like this guy was able to do something that I couldn't figure out. And then I would honestly beat myself up over it and try and learn it and figure it out. And at that point, I was like, it's so natural to feel that way because it's how we were brought up and it's just being a kid and being in sports. But at the same time, I think it's also the understanding of when you're playing sports for years, right? Years, and you're literally going to practice like 3 times a week or however many times and doing the exact same thing with business. It's the exact same thing. So it's definitely not all sunshine and rainbows. And I'm definitely feeling pain right now too. There's a lot of things that I think we're trying to build and even the technology just doesn't even exist. Or it's the documentation of the technology is very limited. So you're trying to figure it out as you're going, and it can be very frustrating because you believe that you can do it. I almost feel sometimes like an idiot because I'm like, I can't even build this. I have an AI that's helping me, and even with the AI, I still can't fucking build
it. But it means you're working on a tough problem though, right?
So I mean, and that, if you want to look at it through that lens, sure, trying to like pump myself up and feel that way. But still, like, I hear you, man. Like, it's been frustrating for sure.
It's part of the journey. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with feeling a bit frustrated. I'm okay with sharing that frustration. I think as long as it doesn't beat you into submission and you want to quit, then I think you're cool. If you use it as a motivator.
I think like this went back to my question last week on like, how do you deal with this? Because it's definitely a lot easier said than done. That's the first thing I'll say. The second thing I'll say is like consistency and resiliency. I preach this a lot. Are like very two underrated skills. To show up every day and just be absolutely resilient and ruthless. Like not caring that you can't build it, but you'll figure it out and trying to stay optimistic, or getting no's shut in your face and just not caring and staying resilient and just repeating, believing that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but you have no idea, right? Like it's just this world of the unknown where you can wait and keep doing the same thing and truthfully not know that it will pay off. That's
I
how I would define entrepreneurship in a nutshell.
I talked about this when Dana was on the podcast, and I asked her what's the biggest struggle that you feel like you've experienced building your own business. And she mentions, and I resonated with it a lot, that the effort you put in doesn't equal the results,
Yes.
at least not right away. And so that's always been the toughest part, has been like putting in all this effort and not seeing like immediate results. Because we, I think as humans, like we naturally actually love immediate feedback.
Yeah.
But entrepreneurship in general, there's very few edge cases where that occurs. But for the most part, you don't. It's all delayed gratifications, delayed payoff, delayed rewards. Like a lot of times you have to put a ton of upfront effort before you start seeing any results.
Yeah.
And it's that waiting and not knowing that requires that consistency and the resiliency. And it's a struggle. And honestly, sometimes too, like when I was going through it like this week, like the first few days of the week, oh man, they felt dark. They didn't feel great. But I tried to do just the baseline things that I know I can do, which is like go work out, eat right, spend time with Rochelle and my daughter, and just like have some normalcy and don't worry about anything else right now. Like I was okay to like sit in it, but I just didn't want it to like consume my entire life to the point of like I need to take a day off, because I didn't want to do that. I was like I wanted to continue doing the work I needed to do and living the life I need to live. This is just part of it. It was like an acceptance of the feelings rather than anything else.
Oh my God. That's so different than me. And I think it's a great conversation because I'm the complete opposite. Like,
Okay.
I'm sitting here. I'm like, I don't care if I don't eat. I'm not going home. I need to figure this shit out because otherwise I'm not going to be able to sleep. So like this week, especially this week, has been really hard for me.
Yeah.
My diet has been absolutely shit. I haven't trained in, I think, 5 days.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I haven't worked out in 5 days. My diet's been shit. And I've been banging my head against the wall trying to get things going.
Right.
And I'm very of the extremes. Like, if I'm trying to keep all pillars of my life at an all-time high, which is ultimately the goal, personally, I struggle to do that. It's like in order for one pillar to stay high, something else is dropping. And and then I think to myself, I don't know if there's a world where all pillars will ever be at 100%. I think the most I can ever output is 100% across all 5 pillars, which means every pillar is living at 20% if they're all equal. You know what I mean? So
I do. I think, yes. I think you'll have seasons of your life where it won't feel balanced at all. And honestly, the more I look at it too, you don't need balance. Like in every part, like every season of your life, you don't need balance. You just need the thing that your life needs in that moment. So if it's work, then it's work. If it's family, then it's family. Yeah. So I think there's seasons for it. I try inherently to find balance in my life all the time, but I've become better at accepting that balance doesn't always exist. Yeah. And that sometimes you just need to get shit done, and that is totally fine. Yeah. But there are things in my life that I know that if I don't do them, I won't be at my best. So that's why like I do keep stuff like working out and eating like top of mind for me. Yeah. Like if I had to choose between like I need to get something done in this moment, but I know I won't produce a good result because like I haven't eaten, I haven't worked out, I'm feeling completely drained, I will go do the things that make me energized rather than just go and do some work. Because that's always my fear, is that I'm going to have diminishing returns. Totally. I'm like, am I going to be doing this work that normally would take me maybe like 20 minutes to do, but I'm going to spend 4 hours doing it because like I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I can't think straight. Like, so that's why I lean that way, because I've done the other way before too. And it's just, I always feel like I get diminishing returns on my results.
Yeah. I mean, retweet. I definitely feel that way a lot of times. And then I've tried that way where I'll try and go to the gym and I'm like, I feel so guilty being at the gym because I'm like, I need to figure this out. And why the hell am I here? Because I should be researching, I should be learning, I should be building, trying to figuring it out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I think that's okay though. I think that's okay. Because sometimes your thinking can unravel like in those moments when you're eating, when you're at the gym. But if you're feeling guilty, that's one thing. But if you let yourself just like think about things, I think that's totally fine. I tend to use my walking Bentley, like my dog.
Yeah.
I use that as my moments. My mind is running the entire time. I'm not really focused on the walk. I'm focused on work that needs to get done. If or I had a call, I'm like, how could have that gone better? I
Yeah.
going through ideas in my head, so it's my time to just think. So I use those moments as let your brain just unravel. It's
Right.
fine, totally
Right.
fine. Yeah,
Yeah. How do you? Okay, so here's another question. So
yeah,
you mentioned right now, oh, I wish I should have said this, or like I wish the call would have went a little different in this way,
yeah.
or like
Mhm,
rethinking how you've done things.
mhm.
So for me, what I'm guilty of, and it could have happened, is like overthinking how a call or a meeting went,
Okay.
how I should have said or done something,
Yeah,
and almost feeling silly for not doing something or not saying something or saying something, and it's like, oh my god, such a stupid thing that I said.
right.
So I don't know if that happens to you. It sounds like it does because it just you just said it. But do you like how do you deal with that?
Like don't let it consume you type of thing.
Yeah.
Like
It,
constantly think about like, "Oh, shit, I should have done that better. Should have done this better. Like it just like it becomes the major thought in your head, and you're like, I can't deal with that right now. I need to move on.
yeah. I'm such a victim of that.
Yeah, I am a victim of it too. I do it a lot. I even do it with like emails that I send. Like, oh, did I say the right thing? Did I do
Mm.
this? And it used to be like something that debilitated me a ton. Like I would go reread an email that I just sent. I would go to my sent folder, open the email, and I would read it
Yeah.
like multiple times. So it's definitely been a bad habit of mine that I've been trying to push away from. How do
Okay.
I deal with it? It's a good question. I always try to. The only time I try to think about it now is if I'm learning something from it. And so for in your case, if you're like you wanted a meeting to go better, or you wish you said something, or I don't know, whatever it might be.
Hmm.
For me, all I try to remind myself at the end of those thoughts is just like do better next time,
Right.
because that the time that just happened, you can't repeat,
Yeah.
right? So just do better next time. That's why I'll remind myself. I'm like, you recognize that you should have done something better, but in that moment you didn't know better, and so
And then
that
in the next moment, I'm still not going to know better.
you
And then I
should,
like, yeah.
but you
I,
should. That's the goal. Be better, right?
yeah. It's going to be a different situation, and this is going to happen. I can't foresee it. And then I start overthinking that. And I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to figure everything out? And what am I supposed to say to this? And yeah. That's
But no, because probably you didn't know, or you didn't say the
for
thing you
that
wanted to say.
specific situation. Yeah.
But you just got it's also more reps though, too, right? You got to go
Totally.
through that almost like self embarrassment
Yeah.
more often,
Totally.
so that your gut reaction or what you actually say in those moments is the right thing. Right
Yeah.
now, we don't know what the right thing to say is, so we're probably saying the wrong things.
Probably.
So I don't know. I think it's fine to like
Or just stop.
fester on it a little bit,
Yeah.
but if you feel like do you feel like it takes up your entire day, or just like you think about it longer than you feel like you should?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely that one. Yeah. Okay. So that was our vent. So,
So it's been a rough week,
been a
but
rough week, to say the least. But we're still, yeah, we're crushing it. We're still like kind of going through things
yeah,
as any business owner should. What are some good things that happened to you this week?
good things that happened to me this week. I had some, yeah, I think that, like I mentioned, I was able to book a few more sales calls near the end of the week in like quick succession, which was really awesome. So I felt that made me feel confident in like one, my marketing skills to be able to like book a call.
Yeah.
And then those calls have been going like decently well. So I think those have been like kind of the highlights of my week, has been able to get like more traction and more business. So yeah, I think overall that was my highlight of the week. And also, oh yeah, I'm trying out like a new method of like how to approach some of these calls.
Okay.
So like as people know, we build stuff for people. That's our business, right? We build software for people.
Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to do now is try to qualify people a little bit earlier in the process. So like during like DM conversations with them, I try to pry a bit about like what their idea is. Some people don't want to like fully say it until they're in a call. Some people are able to kind of give some insights or give examples of what they're thinking of. And so what I'm trying for my next two calls is basically like I built something in Versal, which is just like build a prototype for them.
Vercel.
Let them talk about it. Huh?
Said Vercel.
Is it Vercel?
Yeah.
I call it Versal. It's not Versal, is it?
I think it's okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay,
That's
whatever.
That's just me being an asshole.
Yeah, whatever. Vercel. That sounds so fancy. I use Vercel. So anyways, I built prototypes in there around like what I think they might be thinking about for their app.
Yeah.
And I'm doing that so when we go into the call, I want them to like go through a normal sales call, talk about where they're at right now, what their idea is, all this stuff,
Hmm.
and then show them this like prototype. And if even if it's not exactly what they're looking for, it just shows them that like we were already thinking about this project for you, you
Wait, hold
know?
on. So you at this point don't know what they're looking for yet, but you
I've
got
pried a bit ahead of time.
you've
So I
tried a
do
bit
know
about it.
some of it.
You have a
Yeah.
little bit, and then going into it, you built a little prototype to see what. Yeah, dude, incredible. Like
Because it turns it almost into like from a
when you-
sales call to a demo call. Almost. Like it's like an in between.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And when someone's able to see things brought to life, it's
Yeah.
a lot easier to have a conversation because you're able to talk through things with a visual.
Yes.
Right? And
Exactly.
it also speaks to you that you've taken so much time ahead of time to build something for them,
Yep.
right? It just creates goodwill, it creates trust and reciprocity.
Yeah.
It goes a long way.
Show them the value up front, right?
Yeah.
So that's something I'm going to be trying on a call I have today, and then a call that I have next week as well too. So, because it's honestly like it's relatively quick if you know a rough idea of what they're looking for. It's relatively quick to build like these like prototypes or shells or kind of like wireframes, right?
Yep.
It's essentially what it is, enough to where they can see something. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm going to try to see if it's a little bit of a new tactic to see if I can get some better conversions on some of these calls, essentially
Yeah.
is my goal. So
I think that's incredible. Have you, I know we talked about this earlier this week. Have you had a chance to dive into N8N and building those agentic workflows?
I haven't dived any deeper into N8N yet, but I definitely am going to though. Yeah, we'll jump on like one of their free trials and just start playing around with it.
Playing around with it,
But
yeah.
yeah, I'll probably try to figure out something within our own business to see if I can use it for that. I don't know what yet, but I will figure something out to test. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, automations would be huge and just being able to build that.
Yeah.
agentic
Have you
workflow.
looked into it?
I have.
Like you've tried it?
I've also tried it.
Okay.
And I've also seen this guy on YouTube make a whole workflow that basically it just sends an email. But also in that, so I live in Kelowna, British Columbia, and we have like this little AI monthly gathering that we do here.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're here, shoot me an email because I'd love to kind of bring you in. But yeah, one of the presentations that the guy did was a whole N8N workflow, which was really cool. So
Cool.
another thing that, so you know I'm a big fan of Twitter. I'm always on Twitter. And this one guy posted that he did a whole demo for him and his team. His team is him and 7 developers on Cursor AI.
Okay.
Nobody in the room knew what Cursor was.
Really?
So we're very early, is what his whole post was. So, and I think this speaks volumes to always like underestimating the value because when you start to learn these tools and how easy it is to use these tools
Yeah.
and being able to kind of provide that value to a stranger,
Yeah.
them not really knowing about it and you being able to build it will go leaps and bounds for you.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you mentioned that. Like, I think now that I'm learning a lot about AI, about automations and everything like that, I take some of that information now for granted, assuming that just like everyone knows.
Everyone knows it. Yeah, I know.
But you're right. I think we're still very early in it. A lot of people might one know it, but there's also a ton of people that don't, and then there's an even equally smaller number of people that have never used it.
Yep.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll also say that this kind of translates into building a product and always just like feature dumping when you're either doing demos, so you've spoken about this before, or just continuously trying to build because you believe it's not good enough, because you've seen it and have been working on it and testing it for weeks and months. And you're like, okay, it's only good to ship until I build this feature. Okay, no, I need to get this feature, right? It's like, you're so used to it. And nobody has seen it yet. So when they see it for the first time, it can be super overwhelming to them. Yeah.
And even skepticism, right? You even mentioned, I think, when you initially were looking into, when you heard about Cursor, you were a little skeptical of all these AI coding assistants, right? Assistant tools. And you're like, I don't know. And then you tried it and you were like surprised. You're like, this actually works a lot better than I thought it would.
Dude, I was so skeptical when ChatGPT came out. I felt like,
Oh,
and I had this dinosaur mentality, and I was talking to your brother about it actually, and I'm like,
okay.
dude, have you seen this ChatGPT thing? He's like, yeah. I'm like, have you played with it? He's like, kinda, but not really. And I said, dude, it's terrible. It's like, I asked it a riddle and it failed. The riddle I asked it, I remember, you know, those riddles are like, Sam's mom has three kids. Jessica and Ashley are the name of the two kids. What's the third kid's name? And then it didn't know. And I'm like, how the hell did this thing not know? So, like, you never gave me enough information. So I was like, okay, so this thing's an idiot. It is not able to do a basic riddle. And I showed it to your brother. He started laughing.
Yeah.
Or here, and dude, did you just see their $20,000 a month agent they released?
Dude, I know. It goes from like 2 grand to 20,000. 20,000's like you have a PhD level employee.
Sure. Yeah.
And I was seeing that I'm like 20 grand a month. I'm like, you're talking about like a full crazy ass salary per year for these agents.
How insulting is that to like every average human being that
That
makes an average salary of like 50, 60 grand? You're gonna quadruple that, more than that, to pay for an AI assistant.
yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely
Do you
nuts.
think these AI agents too are going to start requesting benefits? But
Yeah.
like not like for them, like health benefits would be like data infrastructure benefits or something.
Yeah, I need you to help me turn it off and on again. And I'm not paying for that shit.
But okay, I'm glad you brought this up though about because I was going to talk about this too, these really expensive AI agents. But it goes back to our conversation last week because we wanted to talk about it was around like certifications for
Mhm.
AI agents, and we started talking about now these PhD level agents who are someone will pay 20 grand a month to have. Do they need to be certified? Do they need to have a degree? Because we make doctors go to school, we make lawyers go to school, and they get all these degrees and certifications. So like
Yeah,
do they need it? I don't know.
I think society is just realizing that the world should just be value driven.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just kind of where we're going to. And it took, unfortunately, AI to come out to realize that. Because if you're telling me that you're going to replace a team of like three, four people
Yeah.
with one AI agent, that these four guys have gone to school and they've got their bachelor's or whatever it is, or their master's, and they
Yeah.
can, there's four of them, and you're going to replace it with one AI agent
Yeah.
because the AI agent is going to probably save you time, possibly money, if you're getting rid of like four, five, six people,
Yeah.
which is sad. But it also goes to show that like value is like the world should be value driven. You shouldn't need a degree to get a job for something that, yeah, education just put you through just for the sake of putting you through, just to memorize shit and write exams and blah blah blah.
So really just like learn AI tech. You don't need to go to school because you can apparently just like you hire an AI agent lawyer who will do your thing.
Yeah.
The only thing that we don't have yet is on the physical AI side is like, an actual robot doing surgery. So
Yeah.
you still need doctors.
Still need doctors. Lawyers are fucked.
Because even like you see stuff like I think I see Willful, right? I see commercials for Willful all the time, and it's just like you can just go build your own will, and you don't need a
Yeah.
lawyer to do it for you. But you can do
Totally.
this for anything too, really. I just talked to a guy that is wanting to build basically AI buyer agents for real estate, where he's like, so you don't pay anyone a commission, like you just have this person that helps you purchase a property,
Dude,
and
I
yeah,
have the biggest hot take on real estate agents. Like, I bought my first house without a real estate agent. I just think they're just like, I don't
you
know.
don't need them.
You don't need them. Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't need them. It's just the fear of the unknown of like, what if I do it wrong? I'd rather just do it safely.
of course.
But no lawyer is gonna sign over a deed to you if you haven't done it safe. So you have nothing to worry about. It's like my mentality. But yeah, I think this was a good pod, man. I want to do more of these, like just being more vulnerable, and
Mhm.
just documenting these weeks because I feel like it's going to provide value, a lot of value to even people at this stage,
Yeah.
and just showcasing our journey where we're at. So I think this was really good, man.
Me too, man. Thanks
Yeah.
everyone for listening. Thank you for listening to another episode of Super Sass Bros with Cory and Jayde. We'll see you next time.